So thank you very much to the organizing committee for inviting me. I'm indeed honored to make this short presentation. Vice Chancellor, chief guests, keynote speakers, academics, including all those in the library sciences, friends. It's indeed a pleasure to speak to. So my topic is the libraries and sustainable development goals. And I'm trying to look at, I hope to look at the enhancing role of libraries through collective intelligence. And I'll elaborate on this concept of collective intelligence and see how we can use this to promote or enhance sustainable development goals. So the outline is, I want to put it in context because otherwise we talk about theoretical aspects and then we go home and sleep. So I'm trying to bring in the role of the University of Colombo in sustainable development goals. We have a sustainable development goals platform, and we have been involved in several activities related to sustainable development goals. And I don't know how many of you know that we are a hub, not the chair of a hub, but the vice chair of a Sustainable Development Goal Hub on partnerships. That's Sustainable Development Goal 17. And if that is so, then I think we should be enhancing this as our responsibility. And I feel that collective intelligence is a framework which we can use. And towards that end, the role of libraries will become crucial. So the Sustainable Development Goals will reach its, we have to finish or achieve whatever we can by 2030. We have had several issues to face. One was the COVID and the polycrisis, and now, of course, the massive impact of the cyclone. Now, this shows in context what it means to be the vice chair of the hub. So you have several organizational aspects related to sustainable development goals. And put this somewhere here. Yes. And the UN launched the Sustainable Development Goals, and people and countries were signatories in 2015. And very early on, we had the Higher Educational Sustainability Initiative. And with that, the UN wanted to advance SDGs using the the higher education sector as one of the key stakeholders. And with that, they came up with the United Nations Academic Impact, which engages with the higher education institutions. And from there, they developed the idea of SDG hubs, which have a 3-year mandate. And, we applied for this. The University of Colombo applied for this and was able to was selected into the section on partnerships just early this year. So we have the UNI SDG Hub network, and we are the SDG Hub. And SDG Hubs have to have certain responsibilities and certain expectations, and it includes incorporating SDGs into the curriculum and contributing to research and knowledge creation and research into policy and so on. So there are 17 such hubs, and from the chair of the hub on SDG 17 is from the university in China, and we are the vice chairs for teaching and education. So as the vice chair, we have to be looking at partnerships with university and industry through research and innovations, which we are actively engaged in, engagement with the civil society, share knowledge and meet local needs, and of course, national and international partnerships. And I feel this is a very rich area for the university's library systems to get engaged in. And over the next few minutes, I will outline a few ideas which we could consider at some stage. And the framework I'm using is collective intelligence. And you will see this is an example from Nature on collective intelligence. None of these ants know where they make any decisions. They function according to certain rules, and then they develop a very complex system of developing of having parts, of having their own ant hills and so on. And there is no single ant which will know what's happening. So collective intelligence is a concept where you just put out the information, the knowledge, and you network with people, and the collective interactions bring out certain favorable outcomes. So you haven't to be precise on the goals which you want to achieve. You just put out the information, and people in their own networks will decide which way they want to go. So that's, I think, one model which we can use in library sciences, where we just disseminate knowledge. We do not worry about the knowledge related to a course or a certificate or for a particular goal of a particular types of research, but we just share it and help to be a fountain of knowledge. So it's this group intelligence that emerges from this collaboration. There is no centralized control, and it's open learning. So if you have the whole of society getting involved in this, there will be collective effort growing up. Now, this is, you will see the difference between how government structures function. You see, government policy making, etc., they are done in small groups, and they look at these in small groups, and they are entities which prevent other groups from bringing in knowledge. And as a result, their collective intelligence or collective IQ is limited to a few hundred or less than 10. Whereas if you use collective intelligence in a wide and open way, you're having a whole society or communities contributing to this, to develop innovations or governance or whatever. And this is very close to this concept called swarm intelligence. I'll allow you to read that. So in order to tap on swarm intelligence or collective intelligence, the perspective of the libraries have to shift a bit away from these courses, away from giving packages of information which are having precise objectives. You have some packages, but you just distribute it. And again, another example and how complex it can be is seen in this migration. We see migratory birds coming to Mana, and I mean, they have a few rules to follow with each other, and they have probably some sensation related to the gravity or the Earth's magnet field, but exactly why they should come to a particular place is derived from a series of rules. There's no central control. So how do we try to harness this collective intelligence, and what's the role of libraries in this? And now I would like to look at some of the gaps which emerge, which are there when we try to use collective intelligence. And I've just selected a few. Of course, there's a digital gap, and there are disciplinary gaps where interdisciplinarity or transdisciplinarity are important to overcome. But let's look at it from the library sciences. I see three main areas. One is the geographic gap. You have knowledge in the library, but how do you get to other geographic areas, other locations? Then there's a knowledge gap. Sometimes the knowledge which you have in the libraries is very specialized. And then how do we translate that? Third point is language gap, because most of the advances are now happening in English or in Chinese, as well as in French and so on. And very soon it will be in India from Sanskrit and Hindi. Now, how do we translate this into languages which are familiar? And let's take the example of English and not go further. So if you look at the geographic gap, how can we bridge this geographic gap between people and the library, and between libraries, between the university libraries and the other libraries which are out there, the public library system, which has a huge network, I think over 1,000. So if you are to harness the collective intelligence and use these networks, then we have to network with all these libraries. And then we have to use the electronic media and the social media. Now in this day and age, there is we cannot shy away from especially from the social media and the electronic media, because the youngsters are using it. The generation which is going to take on issues such as climate change and so on are hooked onto these areas, and we have to respond whether we like it or not. So we can use these, and there are already existing networks. I don't know how many of you have attended some of these. You see, just last year, there had been a library network workshop. And these have to link up with the university library networks so that we can provide some of the evidence and some of the science behind SDGs to a wider group of people. And of course, the libraries must link up with the Sustainable Development Council, which is, by an act of parliament, is responsible for coordination about sustainable development goals. So unless you link with them, you just cannot move forwards. Then you have to link with university institutions which are promoting this. The Faculty of Science has several such units, and on environment, in the Faculty of Medicine, we have the Center for Planetary Health, which looks at the wider issues related to the planet's health and human health. And now we are looking at another concept of planetary health, Sarva-sattva, which includes animals and all biological beings. So you have to network with these organizations in order to promote the transfer of knowledge. So the second one is related to the knowledge gap, because some of these knowledge which you get is fairly specialized. You have to simplify these, and you have to maybe conduct your own courses, organized courses. And there are several such courses already in existence, and some of these are free. That's in the global market. Sri Lanka, how many do we have? I don't think we have. We don't have, we might have a few in the universities in English, but we don't have, as far as I know, courses on sustainable development goals in Sinhala and Tamil, which will be attractive to O-level students, for example. And this is very important because if we are really thinking of engaging with the people, this concept of citizen science, this concept of collaborative science, so that we collaborate with the people on identifying the problems as well as solutions. Participatory research is another area, and of course, crowdsourcing, where we use citizens as sensors for projects. Now, one group which has been working on this in relation to Bolgoda, this I went for this last, I was chairing this session just yesterday, and you see how public libraries are engaging with citizens. And this is a project related to environmental awareness. The University of Moratuwa and the public library system and the university library are doing this as a partnership to engage with citizens. Because just in that divisional secretariat, they are talking of about 100,000 people using it annually. 100,000, not visits, 100,000 different individuals. So that's the sort of catchment which some of these libraries have, and if you are to partner with our citizens. Then the third area, so we have geographic, then we have knowledge gaps, and finally the language gap, because a lot of advances in science and the discussions and discourse related to SDGs are in English, and we have to translate this. There's, trying to teach people English, which will make them competent to understand the technical aspects of sustainable development goals, is another 20, 30 years away from now. So you might as well start to translate and make translation quite easy. What they're doing in India. They have got AI translation tools now. And if you go through some of these tools which I have written down there, Google Translate also has a fairly reasonable translation of voice. So you speak in English and you get the Sinhala translation coming out audio. It's not printed, it's audio. So is it possible to have this sort of translation, which will enable us to translate wide areas of knowledge? So even if this system is not available, you see, there is a very easy system already available. That is, all audios can be transcripted to text. That's very simple. If anything can be transcripted to English, that can be translated to Sinhala or Tamil. And this can happen very, very fast. So if your Nobel laureate is giving a speech in English, within one day, we should be able to translate it to Sinhala, have it as a text, and then, or translate from text after that to audio Sinhala. So I think that's the sort of area where we can bring in the vast advances in knowledge to our people, to our students, in a matter of hours. There are courses, masters in sustainable development management. Can we translate the course? I'm sure we can. If you speak to Jeffrey Sachs and say, we want to translate this, he's going to give you permission. He's going to give you permission. And we translate the course. So I think there's a lot of potential if we do get into this area. And if you are really serious about sustainable development goals and getting this knowledge to the people, we have to think of a concept like collective intelligence and break through these gaps. And I think the libraries are the best suited for this. So in summary, there's a challenge in front of us because the University of Colombo is the vice chair. It's related to partnerships. It's the only Sri Lankan university. We have 3 years to show our colors. If we don't, the annual report, the reports will just say that we haven't done anything. And I feel that collective intelligence is a framework which we can use. Libraries could play a pivotal role in this to harness this collective intelligence, because you are the knowledge managers, the knowledge sharers, the knowledge translators we have. And there are some already several networks, initiatives, and resources are there for this sort of programs, because people will fund these, because the time is now. We have to achieve our targets in 2030, and that's just 4 years away. Thank you very much. And thank you once again for inviting me to deliver this keynote.